I came home early from a work trip. Flight got canceled. I walked into my house at 2 a.m. and found my wife in our bed with a man I didn't recognize. He was wearing my robe, drinking from my glass. She didn't scream. She didn't even flinch. She looked me in the eyes and said, "You were supposed to be back tomorrow. It was supposed to be a 3-day trip. Company conference. Boring, but important." I'd left Thursday morning, kissed her goodbye at the door, told her I'd be back Sunday evening. She said, "I'll miss you. Be safe." The flight home got canceled, then uncanceled, then delayed. But by some miracle, I got rerouted on a red-eye and landed at midnight. I didn't call her. Wanted to surprise her. It was raining when I got back to our house. I remember that. The sound of the drops on the windshield, the orange glow of the porch light we always left on. Everything looked normal. Until I walked in. The house was dark. Too dark. Not just, "She's asleep," dark. It was, "I don't want to be seen," dark. I set my bag down quietly. And then I heard it. A voice. Male. Laughing. And then hers. Bedroom. Second floor. I climbed the stairs slow. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't fear. It was something colder. Like part of me already knew. The door was open a crack. I pushed it open with 2 fingers. He was lying on my side of the bed. Shirtless. Hair wet. Like he just showered in my bathroom. He had one arm behind his head, the other holding my whiskey glass. She was next to him. Under the covers. One leg out. Same necklace I gave her last Christmas. She didn't pull the sheets up. Didn't scream. Didn't even blink. She just looked at me and said, "You were supposed to be back tomorrow." Like I was the one in the wrong. The guy froze. Looked at her, then at me. Said nothing. I didn't say a word. Just stood there, letting the silence stretch. Then he stood up, slowly, and grabbed his pants from the floor. "Sorry, man. I didn't know," he muttered. I looked at her. "Is this what you do when I'm out of town?" I asked. She didn't flinch. "I was lonely," she said. "You're always gone. So you brought a stranger into our house?" "Our bed." "He's not a stranger," she said. "He's a roofer. Helped patch the back gutter last month." That hit me harder than anything. Not just because she cheated, but because she did it with someone I'd hired. Paid with my own card. She reached for a cigarette from the nightstand. Lit it. Blew the smoke at the ceiling. "You gonna hit me or something?" she asked. That's when I knew. She didn't feel guilty. She felt nothing. And I felt everything. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen while she stayed in the bedroom. With him. She didn't ask me to leave. Didn't offer to go. She stayed. In our bed. Like I was the one interrupting something sacred. Around 5 a.m., I heard the front door close. His footsteps faded down the driveway. I didn't even catch his name. She came into the kitchen a few minutes later, wearing one of my old shirts, barefoot, cigarette between her fingers. "I figured you'd still be up," she said. I didn't answer. She walked over to the counter, opened the fridge, and pulled out the orange juice I bought before I left. Poured a glass. Took a sip. "You gonna talk?" she asked. I don't know what to say. "You're not gonna cry, are you?" she said, smirking. "No." She sat down across from me. "You know what your problem is, Dan," she said. "You think being nice is a personality. You think just because you pay bills and say please and thank you, I'm supposed to be loyal forever." "I thought we had something," I said. She laughed. Actually laughed. "What? Just because we said vows 10 years ago? People change, Dan." I changed. You didn't. I felt myself shrink in that chair. "I would have forgiven you," I said. That stopped her. She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I love you." She exhaled like that word was smoke choking her. "Don't say that," she muttered. "You love the idea of me. Not me." I looked up. "Then tell me who you really are." She met my eyes. "I'm someone who's been pretending for 2 years," she said. "Someone who got tired of sleeping next to a man who folds my laundry but never makes me feel alive." It hit me like a truck. She wasn't sorry. She was proud of what she did. Like she'd finally taken back something I'd unknowingly stolen. "Is this the first time?" I asked. She didn't answer. "Please." She took a slow sip of juice, then said, "No." I nodded. "Why didn't you just leave?" She shrugged. "This house is nice. And you're predictable." It was easy. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I just stood up, walked to the sink, and poured her juice down the drain. She watched me, amused. "You're adorable when you try to be dramatic," she said. That's when I realized something. She didn't just cheat. She didn't just lie. She had spent years watching me love her while she laughed behind my back. And I was still hoping she'd say sorry, still begging inside for her to come back. She saw it, saw the weakness, and twisted the knife one last time. You really thought I was yours, didn't you? She whispered. That night, while she slept in our bed alone, I lay on the floor of the guest room, eyes wide open, heart cracked, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make her feel what she made me live through. She thought I'd fall apart, that I'd pack a bag, go stay at a friend's house, call my mother, cry into a pillow. She thought I'd be just another sad husband people pity at barbecues. She was wrong. I didn't leave. I didn't scream. I started observing. Every day, I took notes. Time she left. Who picked her up? What she wore. What time she came back. How drunk she looked. Who texted her? She got careless. Maybe because she thought I was too broken to fight back. Maybe because I kept making coffee every morning like nothing happened. Folding laundry. Taking the trash out. She saw the routine and mistook it for surrender. But it wasn't surrender. It was strategy. I started with the money. We had 3 accounts. One joint, one personal for her, one for me. I had access to all of them. I paid the mortgage, the cars, the utilities. So I started to shift things. I stopped transferring money into the joint account. Set all automatic payments to my personal one. Quietly took her off the utility bills. Changed the Netflix password. She didn't notice right away. She was too busy playing house for strangers. Then came the phone. She left it face down every night. Sloppy. I waited until she fell asleep. Face ID was still mine. She never changed it. I opened it. The first thing I saw? A message from someone named Jax. Last night was wild. Still taste you on my tongue. I scrolled up. Photos. Voice notes. Call logs. Not just him. 3 others. All under fake names. All saved under harmless-sounding labels. Plumber, work, cousin. She had a system. A whole second life running on top of ours like a parasite. I didn't confront her. I saved it. Screenshots. Audio recordings. Her voice whispering things to these men she hadn't said to me in years. I organized it all into folders. Personal. Legal. Financial. Discredit. It stopped being about heartbreak. It became math. What would hurt her most? What could not only shake her, but make her live in that shaking? Then I found something else. An email. From a private wellness studio in the city. High-end. Expensive. She'd applied for a part-time job there, branding consultant, marketing rep. Said she was recently divorced and building a new independent chapter. She wasn't just cheating. She was plotting her exit. Framing the story before I even knew I was in it. I wasn't Dan the betrayed husband. I was Dan the background character in her reinvention campaign. Except now, I had her whole script in my hands. And I was about to start editing. She had no idea I was 5 steps ahead. She thought I was still licking my wounds. So I gave her exactly what she wanted. Silence. Obedience. I even took her car to get detailed one afternoon. She thought I was trying to win her back. I was planting. In the glove box, I left an old receipt from a jewelry store, one I hadn't been to in 3 years. Dated. Folded just enough to look old. Tucked in with some gum wrappers and insurance papers. 2 days later, I watched her find it. I was in the garage pretending to fix the garden hose. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time. When she came inside, her mood had shifted. You still holding on to receipts for rings? She asked, casually. I shrugged. Guess so. You never gave it to me. Maybe it wasn't for you. That cracked her composure. Just a hairline fracture, but I saw it. She didn't ask who. She didn't want to give me the satisfaction. That night, she came to bed in lingerie. First time in months. She didn't touch me. Just lay there, waiting for me to make a move. I didn't. The next morning, I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, just like old times. She stared at me across the table like she didn't recognize who she was sitting with. That's when I made move 2. I texted her from a burner number. Thought about you last night. Still have that dress with the slit. She glanced at her phone when it buzzed. I watched her face pale. Watched her read it twice. Then delete it. She didn't say a word. Didn't ask me anything. She just left for her branding consult job early. No makeup. No perfume. I'd hit the nerve. She was unraveling. But the real punch came later that week. She had a brunch scheduled with a local entrepreneur, some influencer type she'd been tagging on Instagram for months. I printed the screenshots of her messages to Jax, the ones where she mentioned how boring businessmen were easy to manipulate for access and clout. I didn't send them. I slid them into an unmarked envelope and dropped them at the cafe where they were meeting. Handed them to a waiter. Private delivery, I said. From someone who knows her. I don't know exactly what happened next, but I know she came home early that day. Slammed the door. Threw her heels across the living room. I didn't ask. She didn't offer. But later that night, she snapped. "You trying to make me crazy?" she yelled. "No," I said. Calm. Steady. "You were already crazy. I just stopped pretending I didn't see it." She stood there, breathing hard. "You think this is going to break me?" "No," I said. "I think it already has." And then I went to bed, while she sat alone in the dark, exactly where I used to be. It happened on a Tuesday. I came home from work, and the front door was unlocked. At first, I thought maybe I forgot to lock it. I'd been tired, distracted. But when I stepped inside, I knew something was off. The house was clean. Too clean. Like it had been staged. And then I saw them, boxes. 3 of them. Sitting in the living room. Taped up. Labeled. Dan's closet. Dan's tools. Other. She stepped out from the kitchen holding a manila envelope. "I talked to a lawyer," she said, like she was commenting on the weather. "They sent over some paperwork for you to review." She handed it to me. Separation agreement. No divorce. Not yet. Just enough to push me halfway out the door. She was offering to amicably divide assets, give me 2 months to vacate the house, relinquish future claims, and even listed emotional incompatibility as the reason. She was framing it like she was being generous. This was her power move. "I figured it's time," she said. "We've both moved on. Right?" She waited for me to explode. But I didn't. I flipped through the pages, then looked up at her. "You really packed my stuff?" "I thought I'd help," she said. "You seem busy lately." I could have said 100 things. Could have thrown the papers. Could have screamed. But I didn't. Because that's when I realized something. She wasn't doing this because she wanted peace. She was doing this because I'd taken control, and she wanted it back. She thought putting me in boxes would make her feel in charge again. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came the next day. I got a call from my boss. "Dan," he said, "we've received an anonymous email with screenshots, texts, messages. Very personal. Allegations of harassment. Manipulation." I knew instantly who it came from. He paused. "I don't believe it's real, but I need to forward it to HR. There has to be a review." I said nothing. Because what could I say? She'd gone nuclear. If the company took it seriously, I could lose my job, my insurance, my position, my leverage. She had turned the story again, and I was back in a corner. That night, I sat in the car outside the house for nearly an hour before going inside. My hands shook on the wheel. My chest felt hollow. When I finally walked in, she was on the couch. Feet up, blanket on, watching a show. "You look tired," she said. "Rough day." I didn't answer. She smiled to herself. Smug. Victorious. She thought she'd taken back the wheel. And maybe, for that moment, she had. But I wasn't out. Not yet. Because I still had one thing she didn't know I'd found. The backup drive. The one she thought she lost when she spilled coffee on her old laptop. I had it. And I was ready to use it. She never noticed it was missing. The backup drive. She thought it was fried from the coffee spill. But I'd recovered it months ago, quietly, during a weekend when she left for one of her wellness retreats. It had everything. Old files. Deleted photos. Draft emails. Tax folders. Voice memos. One folder was labeled private_audio_not_delete. I listened. And what I heard was gold. She'd recorded herself, probably for journaling, maybe for future manipulation, maybe just to hear her own voice. But it was all there. One clip started with, "He's never going to leave me. He's too scared. That's the best part." Another, "If I play this right, I can get alimony and the house. And maybe keep the car too if I spin the mental health angle." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I started cutting, clipping together audio, stitching her words into a clean timeline. No edits, no tricks, just her, in her own voice, laying out the playbook. I exported the file, saved it under a single name. Hertruth.wave. Then I called my lawyer. I didn't tell him everything, just sent the file and asked one question. If she pushes for formal separation or sues for anything, does this change the outcome? He called back 30 minutes later. "This isn't just leverage," he said. "This is insurance. If she files, you counterclaim with intent to defraud. You could even sue for damages. I asked, what do I do with it now? Nothing, he said. Not yet. Just hold it. But if she takes another step, we shut the whole thing down. That night, I came home calm. She was at the dining table on her laptop, probably spinning some new version of herself for her online followers. Life coach, survivor, empowered woman. I sat down across from her. You sure you want to go through with this? I asked, motioning to the separation papers. She didn't look up. It's already done. I leaned in just a little. I'd think twice. That made her pause. Is that a threat? She asked. No, I said. It's a warning. She studied me. For the first time in weeks, she didn't have a snide response ready. She felt it. That something had shifted. That I knew more than I let on. She shut her laptop. I'm going to bed. As she walked past me, I said, You've been playing chess with a man who finally learned how to see the board. She froze, didn't turn around, then kept walking. Later that night, I saw her pacing the hallway. She thought I couldn't hear. She was whispering into her phone. I think he knows. I don't know how, but I can feel it. For the first time in this war, her voice wasn't mocking. It was shaking. I should have expected it. Cornered animals don't play fair, they bite. She disappeared for 2 days. No texts. No late-night returns. Then Sunday night, she walked in like nothing had happened. Grocery bags in hand. A smile that didn't reach her eyes. Picked up some things for the week, she said. Didn't know if you were still eating here. I didn't answer. She started putting things away, organic greens, sparkling water, a bottle of that stupid overpriced wine she always posted on Instagram. Then she said it. Oh, I scheduled a meeting with a mediator. Just to speed things along. I paused. Mediation? Yeah, you know, for the house. The accounts. I figured you'd appreciate not going to court. I kept my face still. But inside, I knew what that meant. She was ready to play her final card. And I found out what it was 2 days later. An email from the bank. A request to freeze all joint accounts. Filed under suspicion of financial coercion. By her. She told them I was emotionally manipulating her. That she feared financial retaliation. That she needed time to protect her personal funds. The account balance was over $42,000. Half of it was mine. Now it was locked. I drove straight to the branch, printouts in hand, proof of my consistent transfers, receipts, everything. I spoke calmly, professionally, just like my lawyer told me. The manager said she understood, but the request had been made, and now it had to be reviewed legally. I left with nothing. She had frozen me out of my own money, and she knew it. That night, she was already in bed when I got home. Reading. She didn't even look up. Rough day. I stared at her for a long time, then said, You just made this a legal war. She flipped a page. Wasn't it always? I walked away before I said something that would give her what she wanted, emotion. Because that's what she fed on. And I was done feeding her. The next morning, I filed a motion. My lawyer submitted it with a copy of the audio recording. Her truth.wave. Everything. Her voice. Her plan. Her intent. The manipulation. The alimony trap. The fake mental health narrative. The motion was clean. Intentional premeditated deception. Grounds for damages, forfeiture of shared assets, and denial of any future claims. By Friday, the freeze was reversed. I got access back. And not just that. She got a notice from the court. A hearing was scheduled. She read it in front of me. Didn't say a word. Didn't scream. Didn't cry. She just sat there. And for the first time in this entire mess, she didn't look like a woman who had a plan. She looked like a woman waiting for the next hit. She thought she had the monopoly on perception. That just because she could cry on cue and smile through betrayal, no one would ever look deeper. She forgot one thing. I never needed to be louder than her. I just needed to be louder at the right time. The hearing was set for the following Thursday. Quiet. Civil. Just a judge, a few forms, and the weight of our war packed into manila folders. But I wasn't waiting for a courtroom to win. She had spent months curating her story online. Healing, growth, new beginnings. So I made my own post. Not angry. Not defensive. Just truth. A caption. One sentence. Sometimes silence isn't peace, it's strategy. Attached was a screenshot of the court's official notice. Motion filed. Premeditated deception, financial manipulation, intent to defraud. No names. No accusations. Just the official header and the court stamp. Within an hour, it had more likes than any of her empowerment content had in a month. People noticed. They messaged. They asked. And she? She panicked. I knew because her best friend, well, former best friend, messaged me. Hey, I think I've been defending the wrong person. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. She spiraled fast. Tried to post a rebuttal, some vague caption about toxic masculinity and gaslighting through paperwork. It flopped. Badly. People wanted receipts now. And all I had were folders full. I watched her pace the house, opening and closing her laptop, deleting things from her phone. She wasn't cleaning up her mess. She was drowning in it. That night, I found her on the porch, knees pulled to her chest. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she said. You filed first. You froze the account. You recorded me. You planned to frame me. She looked up. Her face was different now. No sharp edges. No smug confidence. Just panic trying to wear pride. You don't understand, she said. It's not about you. I needed to be someone else. No, I said. You needed to be seen as someone else. She went quiet. And then she whispered the only honest sentence she'd said in months. I don't know how to fix this. I nodded once, then turned and walked back inside. No comfort. No rescue. I let her sit out there, in the cold, with nothing but her reflection. The next day, she got a letter from the nonprofit board she'd applied to back in March. They were rescinding her offer, citing pending legal matters and a conflict of personal ethics. She didn't cry. She didn't even open the door all day. She just stayed in bed, not sleeping, just waiting, because she knew the war wasn't over, and she wasn't winning anymore. 3 days before the hearing, she vanished. No warning, no note, just gone. Her closet was half empty. Most of her makeup was missing. Phone charger, toothbrush, gone. I thought maybe she'd left early, fled the wreckage. But then I got a text. Blocked number. One sentence. You lose. I didn't panic. I waited. Then the notice came. Filed through a new attorney, someone I'd never heard of. Big firm. Flashy letterhead. She was countersuing, claiming the recordings were obtained illegally, claiming I'd manufactured evidence, claiming I mentally manipulated her into self-incrimination. And with that, she was seeking spousal compensation, ownership of the home, $20,000 in damages for emotional sabotage. It was genius, evil genius, because the court couldn't ignore it, couldn't just toss it aside. Now we weren't just fighting a separation, we were facing civil litigation. My lawyer called immediately. She's buying time, he said, dragging it out. Can she win? If we play it safe? Maybe. If we play it right? She burns. But in that moment, it didn't feel like I was holding fire. It felt like I was back at zero, staring at a legal chessboard with fewer pieces than she had. She returned the next day, walked in like she owned the place, tossed her bag on the floor, didn't even look at me. I'll be here until this is resolved, she said. Legally, you can't kick me out. I said nothing. She smirked. Figured. She took over the bedroom. I slept in the guest room. Again, she strutted through the house like she'd hit reset. Started texting her new legal team in the open, leaving folders half open on the table. Talking on the phone just loud enough for me to hear phrases like position of power and documented abuse. She posted again. People think they know your story. Let them. Hundreds of likes. Supportive comments. She was rebuilding the narrative. And for one horrible moment, I thought she might actually pull it off. That after everything, the lies, the affairs, the manipulation, she'd still land on her feet. But then the message came. An email. Subject line. Request for records confirmation, City Prosecutor's Office. They'd received a tip about a woman falsifying financial statements on a nonprofit application, using corporate assets from a previous employer, violating NDA terms. The tip? Anonymous. The evidence? Everything from the backup drive. The contact listed? Me. I hadn't sent it. My lawyer had. Quietly. Legally. Just in case. It wasn't revenge. It was protection. And now it was official. They were opening a formal ethics inquiry into her business dealings. If she lost, not only would her claims against me fall apart, she'd never work under her name again. The hearing was set for 10:30 a.m. She walked in 10 minutes late. Alone. No makeup. No heels. Hair down. Wearing flats and a blazer 2 sizes too big. The version of her I'd never seen before. Exposed. She sat across from me without a word. No eye contact. No smile. The judge called both sides forward. Her attorney was a no-show. She'd fired the firm 2 days earlier. Probably couldn't afford the retainer once the inquiry began. My lawyer spoke first. Calm. Controlled. He outlined the audio files, the financial records, the message logs, the abusive process. Then the judge turned to her. She didn't say anything. He asked again. This time, her voice cracked. I don't contest the claim, she said. The judge blinked. You're dropping your countersuit? She nodded. I withdraw the petition. And the motion for damages? She hesitated, looked over at me, then down. Yes. Everything. It was over. The judge wrote a few notes, signed a sheet, and handed it to the clerk. Case closed. I stood up, collected my folder. My lawyer shook my hand and whispered, that's how you win without touching the fire. But before I could leave the room, I heard my name. Dan. I turned. She was still sitting there. Alone. I'm sorry, she said, barely above a whisper. Then her voice broke. I don't know what I was doing. I thought I was surviving, but I was just burning everything. I didn't move, didn't speak. She stood slowly, came closer. And then, without pride, without defense, she dropped to her knees. Right there in front of me. Please, she sobbed. Don't send the rest. Don't ruin me. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the house. Just let me walk away. The clerk was still in the room. He froze behind the desk, unsure if he should intervene. I looked down at her. Everything in me screamed to say yes, to push the button, to finish what she started. But I didn't, because she wasn't just defeated. She was finished. I reached into my folder and pulled out the flash drive, held it in my hand, then slowly placed it on the bench behind me. Walk out of here, I said, and don't ever step back into my life. She nodded through tears, hands shaking, shoulders collapsed. She didn't stand for a while. When she finally did, she walked out of that courtroom like she'd aged 10 years. And I never looked back. I got into my car, took a deep breath, and for the first time in months, it didn't feel like air was fighting me. But before I started the engine, I pulled out my phone, opened my notes, typed one final sentence. What would you have done in my place?